As promised, my colleague Unathi Batyashe is at the Nerve Center, or what it will be in the next couple of days, and that is, of course, the IEC's Results Operations Center in Midrand, and joins us now. Unathi, a very good afternoon to you. So today is the first of those special votes being cast throughout the country. It's been quite an interesting one, observing the different stories, right, that have come out from those who have cast their votes today, from the disabled who gave us their first-hand account of how they experiences were at the poll, to other stories of why some were casting their ballots today. Nonetheless, just 2 days to go until the rest of the country goes to those polls.
Absolutely, Alicia, and of course a very good afternoon to you and to our viewers. I was actually watching an interview earlier on with one of our colleagues, just in Limpopo, interviewing a lady. I think she was over 100 years old. That just, brings you a sense of how important these elections are. I mean, she was very excited to be casting her vote, and of course she was assisted together with about 1.6 other South Africans who are voting on the special voting process that's happening today and tomorrow. Of course, the IEC saying yesterday that it was ready to facilitate over 1.6 million South Africans during these special votes. I'm happy to announce I was one of those people. I have already cast my vote. It went very smoothly. But of course, these special votes are 2 days as we, mark up to that very important and crucial, election on the 29th of May 2024. Of course, 27 million people expected to be casting their votes on that particular day. The IEC indicating, of course, that it is ready. Well, we continue right here, as you've called it, Alicia, the Nerve Center of the IEC, and that, of course, is the Operations Center, otherwise known as the ROC, the Results Operating Center. We'll also be crossing to our reporters who are at provincial, centers of similar nature, and we'll be crossing to them just to get a sense of what is happening on the ground, particularly on these 2 days. We also, of course, continue to engage with various political analysts and experts on this particular, elections and some of the key things that are coming out. Of course, today in studio, I'm joined by political analyst, Professor Sethulego Matebesi. Prof, thank you for your time. Of course, exciting times for South Africans. I mean, we are still about 2 days to go to that crucial election, but we are already starting to get a sense, particularly from South Africans, about how important this election is. And I want to talk about, just some of the changes that are glaring, coming into this election. Of course, we know that it also marks the 30 years of South Africa's democracy. It is going to usher in the 7th, administration per se. Just talk to us about, how this landscape has changed significantly.
Hi, Unathi. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the viewers. What a proud moment yet again to be a South African today. And I think many South Africans don't realize what we have in this country. What have changed? First time we've got independent candidates that will be contesting the elections. And the question is, I've mentioned, written an opinion piece 2 weeks ago, and I spoke about the harsh realities that many of these new parties will also realize that it's not all gloom and gloating about forming a political party. But for me, it's definitely that yet once again, for the very first time in South Africa, that we have an election that is contested by two former leaders of the ruling party. It will be very interesting to see how that will change the political landscape after Wednesday.
Just looking at the sheer number of political parties that are participating in this election, I think in the national ballot we'll be seeing about 52 parties. What is that indicative of? I mean, one would think, that we wouldn't need so many, political parties, but others say it's a sense of, a thriving democracy. But what does that tell you about the current political parties that are still there? Perhaps they're not performing to that level where, South Africans need them to perform. I think we have about over 30 new political parties just in this particular election.
Yeah, very good question, Unathi. I strongly believe that if the environment is conducive to do certain things, then people will respond to that. And that's why some political leaders who have formed these new political parties have seen an opportunity. And that's why perhaps they believe that they can offer something better to South Africans. I don't think anybody will want to form a political party if they know they are going into a battle. It's not even a contest, it's a battle, because you need financial resources, you need foot soldiers to go on out there on a daily basis, and it needs funding to be able to persuade South Africans to vote for you. So I don't think people will just wake up and take that decision. So for them, perhaps there is an opportunity to contest and win the elections. So in short, but the reality is, do we really need so many people vying to become the president of this particular country? And I will say, in short, democracy allows that, and if they don't use violent means, let them allow them to do that.
Just talking about, violence, of course, like any election heading up to that, there are concerns should there be incidences of violence. I mean, we saw, of course, with the Nat Joint saying that they are ready to quell any violence that should, come out, but they have pointed, of course, significantly to hotspots, in various provinces. Just the other day, in fact, yesterday, the IEC responding, to what we saw as apparent vote rigging. One of the political parties was just making those allegations, taking videos in one of the voting stations. I mean, what does that symbolize in as far as this election is concerned? Because, we've seen a number of incidences leading to this election as it tries to cast almost like a light, towards the processes that the IEC is taking, questioning the integrity and the independence of the IEC. What do we make of this latest incident then in the IEC, particularly in KZN?
Yes, I'm going to respond to your question in two ways. Firstly is that I don't think it only pertains to this particular election.
Yeah.
With each election, because that is my specialty area in terms of community protest, people strongly believe that the government of the day, our state institutions, are vulnerable. Hence, we can even predict there might be sporadic protests in South Africa, but I don't think we will see major problems. What for me is very worrying, it's what we observed yesterday, serious allegations of, misrepresenting the IEC there. I think that will cast doubt and harm the reputation of the IEC. But what is very commendable is that the IEC has a track record of delivering an election that all of us can be proud of. And I don't see that this election will be different. But this will also, yesterday's event will also not be the last, because unfortunately in South Africa, even the presiding officer, some of them will be taking chances. And I strongly believe that the IEC has the capability to deal with those events as they emerge.